What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of UFC Predictions, the first of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy, we have some good fights on our hands. It really sucks, because I wanted to be in Toronto so bad this weekend. I had it all planned out, and then the tickets were $800. I'm sorry, but I'm not paying $800 for nosebleeds. No. Dana, you gotta ramp your prices down a little bit. Maybe for $300. Maybe. But that's in April. We're in January. So we gotta focus on Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Live from Scotiabank Arena in the 6th, Toronto, Ontario. We're gonna look through all the fights on the pay-per-view, bottom to top, and yeah, let's talk UFC 297. These are my picks and predictions. Let's get it. First fight that we have stacked on the cards is Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. Movsar, the Russian dude called Evloev. But looking at this fight on paper, it's a really good fight on paper. Both are very strong, built guys for the featherweight division. Arnold Allen 9-2, Evloev 17-0. Arnold out of the United Kingdom, Evloev Russian, 5'8" versus 5'7". The reaches are pretty close. Evloev does have a 2.5-inch reach advantage on him, and Arnold Allen's got some leg reach on him as well. So maybe he'll do better with the kicks, head kicks, T-kicks, all that fun stuff. But looking at this fight on paper, both guys, looking at it on paper, I mean, Arnold Allen has a higher knockout percentage than Evloev. Evloev's got a sub percentage higher than Arnold Allen's, and Evloev's decision rate is higher than Arnold Allen's. Both guys seem to be very tough, good fights with the division. I could see this being a very good striking match. I feel like if this fight goes to the ground, I think Evloev will have the upper hand. He's Russian. It speaks for itself. Not trying to be like, oh, all Russians are good grapplers because they're Russian. Like, if you're in the UFC, you're in the UFC for a reason. So, I think Evloev will probably have the upper hand in the grappling exchanges, but I kind of see this fight going how this whole fight's gonna go. This whole fight card's gonna go. I think you're gonna see a lot of very good scraps that go to the scorecards, and I think we're gonna see the judges a lot at UFC 297. But in this fight, personally, I'm gonna go with Evloev to beat Arnold Allen to break into the top 5. I think he's gonna get him by decision. I think Arnold Allen's just a little too tough to get out of there. I mean, Max Holloway couldn't get him out of there, and Max Holloway was beating that boy up big time back like 9 months ago in Kansas City. I still remember that fight, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Evloev in this one, and I think Evloev will take a decision. Unanimous, in my opinion. Before we get into the next fight on the pay-per-view, I want to give a quick shout out to some of the guys on the prelims. Well, I mean, 2 guys in particular. Charles Jourdain, Brad Katona. Those are my Canadian boys. Get the job done, fellas. Canada represent. We true north, strong and free, but we ain't too free anymore. I'll let Sean, just, if you want to see why I say that, just watch a Sean Strickland interview. But anyways, we have Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault up next, and I think this has scrap written all over it, to be honest. I mean, Barriault a little bit taller than Curtis, but both guys, when you think of Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault, both guys are tough as nails, willing to get down, bite on that mouthpiece, and just throw bombs and dig down, get to the 7th layer hell. I'm not Colby Covington here, but you know what I mean. But looking at this fight on paper, Chris Curtis does have a bit of a reach. I mean, it also looks like just natural body shape wise, I'm gonna say Chris Curtis has a bit more power in his hands too. Leg reach, that's in the hands of Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault has a bit of height on the man as well. The win percentage, Chris Curtis has a lot, this is all you need to know. Chris Curtis is a 59% knockout TKO percentage, and Marc-Andre Barriault has a 63 KO TKO percentage. Both guys barely ever see the ground with 3% and 6% submission ratings and percentages, and 38 and 31% of the time they go to the scorecards. So this fight isn't going to see the ground in my opinion. If it does, I'd be surprised, but I think this is going to be a stand-up fight, and I think it's going to be one hell of a brawl. This could easily be fight of the night in my opinion, but I really think it comes down to who is the better technical striker in this fight. And it's crazy to say this, but I'm going to go with Chris Curtis. I mean, you don't train with Sean Strickland all the time and don't pick up a thing or two in the striking department. You know, the only guy Strickland's really been outstruck against was Pereira, to be honest. And I mean, who hasn't been outstruck by Alex Pereira? So I'm going to go with Chris Curtis in this fight. I think it's either going to be a third-round TKO or this fight will see the scorecards. But either way, this is my pick for fight of the night. Oh, we got a banger up next, man. Another one of my boys. I mean, I am picking against a fellow Canadian here. Sorry, Marc-Andre Barriault, but prove me wrong. But I'm going to take Chris Curtis. Next up at, I almost said featherweight, welterweight, we have Neil Magny taking on Mike Malott, and man, Mike Malott's a Burlington boy as well. Burlington is like right outside of Hamilton, and Hamilton is like probably about an hour away from Toronto, maybe a little more, little less in that range. So now this is a big homecoming fight for Mike Malott. I will say that he does give up a bit of height to Neil Magny. So obviously the weight's going to be similar. Neil Magny does have a big reach on Mike Malott. 7 inches in reach. That's going to be huge. A little bit in the leg reach, but definitely not as much as the arm reach. But looking at their win by percentage, Mike Malott, obviously 40% knockout TKO. Neil Magny, 26%. Mike Malott, the key for Mike is to get it on the ground. You've seen what he did in Vancouver back in June on the Nunes card. He's a great, he can strike when he's able to strike, and if he goes to the ground, that's where he's best at. Mike Malott hasn't even seen the final scorecards yet, so Neil Magny has 59% of the time he's gone to the final bell and seen the judges' scorecards. I think this could be a really tough fight for Mike Malott, especially with all the physical advantages that Neil Magny possesses on him, plus all that experience in the UFC top 15, competing there for so long against all these guys. Like, oh god, Neil Magny's fought everybody, man, but obviously he's most recently fought Ian Gary. Has he fought in between? I don't think so. But I think the key for Mike is get it on the ground, use his jiu-jitsu, use his wrestling, use it to his advantage, and you know what? I don't even care. I could see this fight being really tough for Mike, but I'm going to pick Mike by sub just because he's Canadian. This is going to be a big homecoming for the guy. I hope the pressure doesn't get to him. We're rooting for you, Mike, man. We're rooting for you. Go blow the roof off Scotiabank Arena, but yeah, man. I'll take Malott in this fight. Hopefully he gets the job done. And on to the title fights. Ooh. Our first title fight of the evening is for the women's Bantamweight title. Yes, 135. So, we have Raquel Pennington facing Mayra Bueno Silva. The vet versus the rookie and the vet. Shout out to the bitch that ain't holding down the set. I gotta fit a little bit of Drizzy in here. We back in the 6. I gotta get a little Drizzy in here. But this fight is a lot more even style, like physical-wise, than I expected it to be. I thought Mayra Bueno Silva would be a fair bit taller and be able to like have a bit of a reach, but that's, if anything, it's the opposite, because Raquel Pennington has an inch on Mayra Bueno Silva, and she also has a 1-inch reach advantage. I mean, Mayra Bueno Silva, or we'll just call her Mayra, so I don't have to say like 15 names, has a 2-inch leg reach advantage, but even still, that's not massive. But looking at their win by percentage here, Mayra Bueno Silva, 10% of her wins are a KO, TKO, Raquel Pennington 6. Subs, Mayra has won by subs 70% of the time, whereas Raquel Pennington has won 25% of the time. 69% of the time, Raquel Pennington's gone to a decision, and Mayra has seen the final scorecard 20% of the time. So, I think y'all know what I'm about to say. I think, personally, just my opinion, I think Mayra Bueno Silva is more skilled on the feet, and I think she's more skilled on the ground. So, what does Raquel Pennington really do? I mean, I know she's got a lot going for her in this fight. She's got the kid now. It's going to give her a lot more motivation, all this fun stuff, but I just see the young blood taking at Raquel Pennington. I mean, Raquel Pennington's been here before. She's on a hell of a win streak, to be fair, but my pick in this fight is Mayra Bueno Silva. I think she's the better fighter. Personally, I think she's more skilled, I think she's more talented, and I think she's better on the feet and on the mat. So, my official prediction for this fight is I'm going to take Mayra Bueno Silva by a second round TKO or sub. But I think she's going to get a finish. I think she's going to get the job done. I think she's going to absolutely gas Raquel Pennington in the first round, overwhelm her, and then get the finish in the second. So, give me Bueno Silva. I think she gets it done in round 2. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, here we are. What a main event we have on store in Toronto. Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Whoo, what a fight, man. What a fight. I wish I was going to be there, man. It would have been my first ever UFC fight attending. Oh, I got to get to one of these someday, man. Maybe next time they're back in the 6, or maybe I'll go to the next MSG card or something, but god damn, man, I need to get to a UFC event, and I'm so pissed it isn't this one. I would have been in Toronto by now, getting ready to record some press conference stuff, and yeah, I'm so pissed. But enough about me. Let's talk about Sean versus Dricus. Honestly, a lot of similarities between these two, a lot of boxing between these two, but and both are very front-footed, but I'd say Dricus, especially judging by recent performances, Dricus is more of a pressure fighter. He's going to come forward, try to overwhelm you, put a beating on you, and just like make sure you don't have a minute to breathe. Whereas Sean, he will stay on the front foot, not try to let you breathe, but he'll try to set up shots technically, and that Philly shell, 1-2s. I mean, you see when he dropped Izzy Adesanya with, that is such a mental sentence to say. Sean Strickland dropped Israel Adesanya. Oh my, oh my, oh my. But yeah, two absolute wild cards of fighters. I mean, you saw it at the press conference, you saw it in the crowd of 296. Sean Strickland threw more significant strikes than Colby Covington did at UFC 296, so oh baby, baby, baby. Let's talk about Dricus a little bit, right? Because I think Dricus, looking at this fight stylistically, I think if this fight was to go to the mat, I'd probably give Dricus the edge, personally. I think Dricus is more of the well-rounded fighter. I think that would show in their win-by percentage here, too. Yeah, Dricus has won by sub 50% of the time, and 45% of the time he's won by KO, TKO, so it's like Dricus is definitely the more well-rounded fighter in this fight, but like I said earlier in the video, if you watched, or if you didn't just skip to this part, earlier I talked about Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barrio being an absolute scrap, but it's going to come down to who's more technical. And judging by what I've seen off of Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis in their recent performances, I would have to say Sean is the more technical fighter. I really would. I mean, I know it doesn't look right sometimes, but that Philly shell works, man. Like, as some of you guys don't know, like, I box myself, and when I'm in the gym and I'm sparring or whatever, a lot of the time I'm in that Philly shell, man, hitting people with the 1-2s, uppercuts, hooks. But I mean, Sean Strickland primarily stays to boxing basics, the 1-2s. You don't see a lot of kicks out of the guy, but man, when he goes for ground and pound, he goes for ground and pound. All I can hear when Sean Strickland just start beating on Israel Adesanya after he dropped him as the American national anthem face boosted and eagles flying through the screen. Oh my god. But honestly, man, this fight could go either way. This fight is so 50-50 in my opinion. I like both guys, man. I really do. Like I want to say this too. Like Dricus, so much respect for that guy. Like some of the stuff he said, like that he could have pressed charges against Sean and all this stuff, and like he's just a proper, like he's a real man and a proper fighter. I have a lot of respect for someone like that. So fair play to Dricus. I just want to say, like, fair play to Dricus. But when I look at this fight, I don't know how good Sean's takedown defense is going to be, man. I really don't. So, oh my god. If I had to pick Sean Strickland or Dricus du Plessis to win this fight, I'm gonna say Sean Strickland wins a decision. I could be very wrong on that, but it's one of those picks where your head tells you one thing and your gut tells you another. And my gut is telling me Strickland on this one. I think Strickland gets the job done on the feet. He's able to stop the onslaught of Dricus, use his counters to perfection. And I think Sean Strickland, being the more technical boxer, is going to win him this fight against Dricus. Man. Man, oh man, oh man. What a night it's going to be in Toronto. Oh, Sean and Dricus, man, what a fight to start the year, man. Not to mention we got Volk and Tuporia coming up. We got O'Malley and Cheeto. A rematch in Miami, and then we got 300. Like, we are spoiled. This year and last year, man, we are spoiled as fight fans. We are absolutely spoiled. But, oh, man. It's Thursday now. Just get me to Saturday already, man. Get me to Saturday. Oh my god. Anyways, guys, that is my picks and predictions for UFC 297, live from the 6th, Strickland versus du Plessis, and I will see you next time out for, I already mentioned it, but UFC 298, Holloway, Volkanovski versus Tuporia. Die-hard Max Holloway fan coming out in me, but we'll see how he does against Gaethje, I guess. Bring on 300, man. Oh, man. I want these days of UFC to last forever, but, like, I don't want them to go, like, I just want to get through all these fights, but I also don't want these days to go away, you know what I mean? This shit's too good. It's too good. We love violence. And one thing's for sure, I know these two on my computer monitor are going to give us some violence. Enjoy 297, guys, and I will see you next time out for UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Tuporia. Man, what a fight that is, too. Take care, and peace.